Hi everyone, my name is Elton Evan Alvarez Escalera, and today I would like to present to you group work and mixed ability. Today the topic is going to be very interesting because we've been working with group work since a long time ago with our students, but we don't really know how to improve that mixed abilities with the group work. And the aim of this topic is to know how to do it. So let's take a look for the next slides. And in order to start with the topic, we have to establish what group work means. So we know that it has become one of the pillars of the modern English language, and it is a fundamental factor for interaction, the use of L1, classroom discipline. Group work is to work with teams, to work with pairs with our students, and we have to mix their abilities in order to complete an assignment. So that is going to be a group work. And we must know that there are some advantages and disadvantages about working with teams or in a group work. One of them I would like to show you how the advantages can be very useful for our students, because we have the target language. So the students have more opportunity for using the target language that open in class interactions. Thus, they get more practice. We get the responsibility and independence. How? With a group work that makes our students to foster responsibility and independence. And the less threatening environment for the learner. Yeah, because group work provides a less threatening environment, so it can enhance motivation and contribute to a feeling of cooperation and warmth in the classroom. So we already know that our students um, start to get confident, more confident when they are practicing when with their other classmates. Uh, it contribute so that can contribute to use better the language is the next point, which L2 acquisition through the processes which as scaffolding. And teachers can individualize their teaching. They are able to individualize because they are free to monitor and observe students using the language in groups. We have to monitor our students when they are working in groups. The disadvantages in this topic might be, oh well, plenty of them. Like, students may use their mother tongue in order to make the task easier. The noise level may be too high, so we cannot hear, like, in the time when we are monitoring them, and the students may do the task badly. So this is because sometimes stronger students um, may dominate other students that doesn't have the ability to communicate, for example, or participate, for example, and this involves kind of social interaction. And now, in order to manage our group in the classroom for group work, we have to follow these simple steps. The first one would be the presentations. These where the instructions are given at the beginning of a crucial. If the students do not understand exactly what they have to do, there will be a time waste. So, in order to prevent, we have to select the tasks that are simple enough to describe easily. And it is advisable that to give the instructions before giving out the materials or dividing the class into the groups. So after that, we have to check the process. And the process, what does implies the process? Uh, During the activity, we as teachers have to go to form group to group, to from group to group, to in order to monitor and either contribute or keep out of the way, whichever is likely to be more helpful. Helpful. So we have to provide general approval and support. If they need support, we have to be there to support them and helping students who are having difficulties. And we have to ensure that the students are getting the target. So definitely really getting the participation in the discussion, where we as teachers can find some students that are over dominant and others are silent. And we were talking about those kind of disadvantages, and we have to monitor that part. And the third part would be the ending. That's the first step, and we have to set a limit of time. Then this is going to help us to draw the activity to close at a certain point. Um, we have to finish the activity while the students are still enjoying it and they are interested, in order to capture that interest, to create the next step, that is feedback. And the feedback is, as we already know, it's a session that usually takes place into the context that we were managing, with a full class interaction after the end of the group work. So I guess this is the most important part, because it is going to transcend what they already learned and what kind of difficulties they had in the group work. Now, in the collaborative or competitive learning, we have to know that we have different types of it, such as individual work, which means that the learners work alone on tasks on their own pace. And it is important to realize that the individual goal structures can be in place even when the teacher has ostensibly set up group work. But the group members simply, for example, sit in a circle and work on a task alone. The competitive goal structure, here the example would be that the learners work against each other in order to succeed. And this might be very useful, for example, in a competitive brainstorm, and when we can put a situation so they can discuss, for example, with a brainstorm of vocabulary of one topic. And one of the most important, and that would be our aim here in this topic, is that we have to work with collaborative goal structure, because those collaborative goal structure is going to give us positive independence for our students, individual accountability, verbal interaction, and sufficient social skills, so they can at the end have a reflection with their team. This is the most difficult part for our students, because as we already checked in the disadvantages, there is always students that do not contribute to in order to create a great idea inside the group. So we have to guide them in order to get the goal. Now, in order to talk about mixed ability, it's about a lot of discussion with this topic, because it is out to discussion that mixed ability, it is not a functional for teaching a foreign language. And why mixed ability have this kind of discussions? Well, let's talk about that. There are a lot of problems associated with the teaching heterogeneous classes. Perhaps um, there are a lot of our students uh, showing different abilities to understand, to develop, to learn a new and a foreign language. So we as teachers have the responsibility to guide them and to root them in the good way with our group. This is why we first checked the topic of group work, because we in the classroom we have to locate our students that they are very, for example, the social students, or the visual students, or the kinesthetic students, so they can create groups, and they can be leaders of those kind of groups. That is how the mixed ability is going to work for everyone in the classroom. We have to locate our outcome students, so we can promote heterogeneous classes in a current educational thinking. Now, already said that advantage. Now we have to check the advantages of teaching mixed ability. The first one would be that the learning would be much richer pool of human resources, because such classes provide a pool of human resources than do a similar less mixed classes. The individual have between them far more life experience and more knowledge, more varied opinions, and more interesting ideas, all of which can be used in the classroom interaction. The second one would be that the educational value. There is educational value in the actual contact between very different kinds of people. Co-students get to know each other's values, personalities, and perhaps cultures. So thereby increase their own knowledge and awareness of others, as well as the tolerance and understanding. This is going to be very important, because we're going to start to manage their emotional factors. And the student may learn by themselves. Yeah, the fact that the teacher is very much less able to attend every individual in the class means that in order for the class to function well, the students themselves must help by teaching each other and working together. And finally, it's going to be more challenging and interesting classes, because these classes can be seen as very much more challenging and interesting to teach, and provide greater opportunity for creativity, innovation, and general professional development. Now, in order to incorporate um, the mixed abilities in the group work, we have to know that we we must have some implications in the classroom, and this will be kind of difficult, but this is going to be our challenge. What will be the first one is group work, in order to encourage cooperation and peer teaching. The use of the same material, but with a range of tasks for different levels of proficiency. The extension or optional extra activities that will be very useful for learners who finish the tasks early. And remedial work that, for example, recycling activities which review and consolidate linguistic elements such as grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. The self-access that is allowing learners to choose their own activities and then monitor and check their own progress. The open-ended activities type is that activities that have a range of possible answers which learners can develop to the best of their abilities, rather than one correct answer. And finally, the non-linguistic tasks is that, as well as linguistic knowledge. For example, the teacher that may use a non-linguistic element such as drawing, music, miming, or sharing world knowledge in the L1 as a starting point for an activity. And one more thing that we have to consider in a pedagogic concept that it has gained opportunity. since the return of the constructivism, is the competences, and one set of competences, the multiple intelligences, such as we have linguistic intelligence, the logical mathematical intelligence, the spatial intelligence, the bodily kinesthetic intelligence, musical intelligence, interpersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, and finally the naturalist intelligence. And how can we understand our students in order to join them, and how to explore those kinds of intelligence? And so the most of the time we do not have the opportunity to locate what kind of intelligence have each of our students. But when we already have the opportunity and we already checked all over the time on the course, we can select them and put it into groups when they are working. So that is going to be our task in every single time we work with group work or teamwork. And that is going to be very useful for them. Now, for the implications for teachers in the classroom, and what kind of challenges that we can find in our classroom are going to be difficult for us. Well, this theory can help teachers to understand the diversity that we observe in our students and provide a framework for addressing these differences in our teaching. The purpose of doing the inventory is to connect our life experiences to the ideas presented in multiple intelligence theory that we already checked, and the types of learning activities that we as teachers select are often directly related to our experiences in real world. The choices we make as teachers in turn can affect the multiple intelligence profiles of the EFL students in our classes. As an EFL teacher, we also naturally choose classroom activities that complement our own multiple intelligence profile. Now, after knowing that, we have to conclude with something very interesting. After checking every single point that we have to consider for for working with our students and in a group work, in a teamwork, and with mixed ability, nowadays we as teachers have plenty challenges to improve L2 learning skills. And one of them is the group work. And in order to make it work efficiently, we must study our groups. That is going to be our task. Due to key is in knowing how they like to learn, and more important than that, how they can interact so they can develop social skills in the classroom. Because as we already checked, social skills are very important in order to start creating speaking, for example, or reading, or grammar, or whatever discipline we have at foreign language. So if we root them, if we are very analytic with our groups, we are going to be successful in what we need to them to do for us. And that is going to be my conclusion for this topic. And thanks for watching the presentation. This is my reference that I already checked in the book of the university. Very interesting with the different arguments. And for further information, we can check the information in the book. Thanks for watching and have a good day. Goodbye.